Diaspora Indonesia bukan sekedar perantau. Diaspora Indonesia adalah suatu komunitas besar yang penuh ide, sumber daya, inspirasi, dan potensi. Bergabunglah dalam Kongres Diaspora Indonesia yang pertama di dunia di Los Angeles tanggal 6-8 Juli tahun ini.
Good morning, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I just got off the plane, so I decided I better stand up or I'm going to fall asleep. I'd like to, first of all, congratulate Ambassador Dino for this great initiative. It's something I still consider myself as a former diaspora who made it back home. I've always dreamed about this kind of networking between diaspora. I think Pak Hairul mentioned the success of diaspora like India, you could say China, Philippines, where they have succeeded in bringing back people to build a country, as well as in wherever they are, they come also with the networking and so on. India was a good example. They started the IT businesses. China is another good example. They have a term for it. They call them repatriates. So they could be Chinese from anywhere. And I think Pak Sehat's wife is an example of a repatriate who has come back also to help China. And Pak Sehat has come back also to help Indonesia. And I attended something which was very powerful to me a few years ago, where I attended a Taiwanese diaspora networking session. It was in Bali, and they do this every year, like what we're doing here. They do this every year, and there were like 4,000 or 5,000 of them who met in Bali. They choose different countries every year. And they came from all over the world. It was incredible. And they networked, they did business, they did many things. They, reminded themselves about what it is about being Taiwanese. So I think this is a great initiative, and I hope that this is the start of something really great. I just wanted to say 3 messages because I think we need time for a question and answer. As a former diaspora, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts. The first thought is, as a diaspora, I lived 20 years, from 9 years old to 20 years old, before I came back to Indonesia. We always have this fear, can I adjust back? I don't even speak Indonesian. I don't know very much about Indonesia. Can I adjust back? The answer is yes. You have an advantage as a diaspora. I lived in 3 countries, went through something like 13 educational institutions, so very cross-cultural. You are very flexible and you can adjust very quickly. And you can be an ayam kampung when you need to be, a local chicken, or you can be a Kentucky Fried Chicken when you need to be. So you can be international and you can be local. So don't be afraid. It takes time. It took me, I would say, 2 years. Maybe I'm still adjusting. 2 to 3 years to really master the language and get back into the culture. But you can do it. So you have this advantage of flexibility and probably networking because you have been living overseas. My second message is that you can contribute a lot, even though you are not living in Indonesia. And the big question out there for a lot of diaspora is, how do I keep in touch? How do I keep feeling Indonesian? And I think a few things that I learned. My parents, when we were living, part of that living abroad was with my parents. My parents were always teaching me about Indonesia, and they always made me, I hated it at the time, they always made me go to the embassy. The embassy and the consulate generals always have functions that are a la Indonesian. I even had to take Indonesian classes on Saturday mornings. For a kid, that was really not very appealing. But I'm glad my parents forced me to do that because it kept me, even though I was sort of straddling between being Western or being wherever I was, and I still had some exposure to Indonesia. And we all, as students, as Indonesian community living abroad, if we participate in the events held by the embassy or welcome visitors from abroad, as many of you volunteers are doing with us today, it's incredible, the amount of things you learn and keep in touch with. I mean, one of my pleasures when I was living in Shanghai was to take Amin Rais around, for instance, or to host dinner for Ibu Megawati as Masyarakat Indonesia, welcoming dignitaries. And that's the kind of thing you should be always doing, because that will keep you in touch with your country. The last thing I would say is that you can contribute to your country anywhere you are. Yes, we would love many of you to come back home and contribute to the great country that Pak Khairul has described so well. Indonesia is a great country. It's going to be one of the greatest emerging countries in the world. So you can come back, but you can also be wherever you are and still contribute. In today's globalized, I believe that you can do so much without physically being there or even physically meeting. You can even do networking and joint production, joint collaboration without actually ever physically meeting. You know, 50%, if you watch Garfield, 50% of Garfield is actually made in Batam in Indonesia. Most of your BlackBerry, 500 of your BlackBerry applications are being made by young talented Indonesians, and so on and so forth. So there's a world of opportunity out there. The only thing I would add about Pak Khairul has mentioned the economic dimensions of Indonesia's growth. I think now as the new Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy, I've had the chance in the last 6 months to really travel around Indonesia, and it's really made me love my country even more, because we are a great country, we are large, we have so much history, culture, mega biodiversity. Did you know we are the 3rd largest country in the world in terms of mega biodiversity? We have so much to offer, and you should be proud. And my last message is that I hope all of you out there, you are all our ambassadors wherever you are, and I hope that you can promote Indonesia wherever you are, and be proud of Indonesia, so that we, and I hope that we can utilize and use the networks that we will hopefully create coming out of here to help Indonesia grow together, and that wherever you are, you can still contribute to your country. Thank you.